In today's video, I'm going to recreate another classic Exoforce battle mech. Exoforce was a great theme that came out with so many really awesome mechs. And today, we're going to take Hikaru's Stealth Hunter and see what we can do to upgrade it. Hikaru's mechs were often more focused on agility, flight, and speed. And his first one, the Stealth Hunter, has a really great white and blue color combination. This was a mech that my brother Carlin bought way back in 2006. So let's take a trip down memory lane and build it out of his Lego. Now this is a pretty great set, but you can tell it's had better days. The stickers are getting kind of worn down, and I think there are a lot of ways that we could improve it. So I set down the old mech, gave Hikaru a comfy chair to kick back in, and grabbed some bricks as I started this rebuild. Step 1, rebuild the body. Looking at the glass of the original mech, you can see it's really scratched up. So as I was looking through my bin, I found this one that's just perfect. It's from Sora's mech, and I think it'll work exceptionally well. I decided to use ball and socket joints for the shoulders. I kind of spaced out the shoulders and the hips to the position that I wanted them to, and then started filling it in. Now on the original mech, there are some gaping holes between the canopy and the body, and I was thinking, if Hikaru's going to be flying around, this thing needs to be sealed pretty well. So I used some techniques to attach body panels at angles, making the canopy fit right in with the body. I added some Nexonite shields with stickers to give this mech some nice detail and make it look more armored. I added some cannons to the front of the cab, which doesn't really make sense, but that's what the original has. Inside the canopy, Hikaru's got a comfy chair and a control panel. I attached 2x6 wing pieces at an angle to make the shoulder armor. Using 2x2 barrels with chi elements, I created propulsion boosters for this mech. And now step 1 is complete. Step 2, create the legs. To make the hips stronger, I started off with this friction piece. The thigh is encased in tiles, so it looks really smooth and polished. For the knees, I used 2x2 round plates stuck into Technic holes. That gives this thing a lot of movability, while at the same time being very strong. Moving down to the calf, I wanted to keep the correct proportions of the original mech. So I gave this guy some really beefy armor. And I used some Technic wings on the side to recreate the fins. This angled Nexonite piece worked perfectly on the front. I created some propulsion boosters on the back of the leg to match the ones that we created earlier. For the angle joint, I reused the classic click joints, but set them at an angle, building the foot with slopes to give it this amazing shape. It's got a lot of snot techniques to make this happen, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. And gives the mech an epic stance. The legs are complete, and now it's time for step 3, the arms. For the bicep of the arm, I used Nexonite shields and step-down slopes to give it a nice shape. The original mech doesn't have a hand, and to stay true to the original, I merged the forearm into this massive spinning blade. I decided to use these blade elements that have become common in Ninjago sets, and I think they accomplish the job really well. With some finished detailing, I clicked it onto the body. The other arm is basically the same, but this time I had to rebuild the massive rifle cannon. Working to imitate the original shape, I recreated it with a lot of snot techniques and more detailed pieces that would make it look more finished. Now that this arm is locked and loaded, we can click it on. The arms are done, and now it's time for step 4. The classic mech has cool wings coming out of his back to help with mobility in the air. Using more slope pieces, I increased the size of these wings and gave them a nice curving shape. I put the little sonar dish and torpedo on the wings themselves. With some tiles and slopes, these wings are finished and ready to be attached on the mech. And finally, this epic manga mech is ready to go. This mech was so fun to build, and if you guys want to recreate it, I've created digital instructions that you can buy and download at brick-legends.com or in the link in the description below. And if you pick them up before this date right here, they'll be half off. Now let's set these mechs side by side and compare them. Now I'm super happy with how similar these mechs look, but the rebuild looks a lot more polished. To give you an example of the piece difference, the original mech has 5 pieces in the foot, while the rebuild has 26. And here are the numbers for the piece count for each mech. It's crazy to see the difference here. I used over 3 times the amount of pieces that the original had. For the rebuild, I was able to cover up a lot of the joints and just make this thing look more smooth and uniform. The hips are closer together, giving the mech a really nice stance and making it look slightly less awkward than the original one. The original mech had a whole Technic function to activate this light brick, but since the light brick was dead, I completely eliminated it and went for looks and functionality. One of the biggest differences is the back view. While the original one is way too busy, the remake is smoothed out and has a bunch of great looking jets. I'm really happy with the new weapons. I think I was able to take the original concept and do it justice with newer pieces. And I really like the new wings. They have better shaping, and I think they fit the mech really well. Now we can place Hikaru in his new and improved Stealth Hunter, and he can fly off to his next adventure.